So Jonathan Swan had just an amazing interview with Donald Trump. He pushed him on a really important issue. This is one of those issues where if I was interviewing Trump, I would lean in on this one as well. And his reaction says so much. Watch.
The last thing that Russia wants to do is get too much involved with Afghanistan. They tried that once. It didn't work out too well.
Last question on this subject.
And by the way, we're largely out of Afghanistan, as you probably know.
Well, wanted to ask you about that. The U.S. troop level in Afghanistan right now is roughly the same as it was when
No, you're wrong. No.
Mr. President, I'm sorry. We have to do...
Okay, are you ready?
No,
we'll be down in a very short... It's already planned.
Well, that's a different question.
Let me explain. We'll be down in a very short period of time to 8,000. Then we're going to be down to 4,000. We're negotiating right now. We've been there for 19 years.
No, I know.
19 years.
But if you just let me finish my question.
We'll be getting out.
I understand. Look, when you came in, it was 8,800. You boosted to 14,000, and now you're back down to 8,500.
We're now...
My question to you...
We'll be at 4,000. I'll give you the exact... Very soon. Very soon.
What will be the number? Very soon? 4,000?
Very soon, yes.
Like how soon?
I don't want to tell you that. I don't want to tell you that.
It's big news.
What is that? That is
going down to 4,000, isn't it?
No, I've always said...
Well, what about Election Day?
We will get largely out.
On Election Day, how many American troops will be in Afghanistan?
Probably anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000.
That's almost as many as when you came into office.
No, it's not.
8,000.
We had much more. We had a lot of people over there, too.
8,800.
A lot of people.
Troops.
And we did a good job. We wiped out ISIS.
Have you thought about going down to zero?
Let me just tell you what you don't say. We took out in Syria, we took out ISIS. We 100% of the caliphate. When I took over Obama, it was totally rampant. ISIS was all over the place. We took them out, we captured them, we killed them. 100%, not 99%. Right. I wanted to get out at 99. Right. Everyone said, oh, please, would you stay? I stayed. 99% was good, but 100% of the caliphate. We took out Soleimani. We took out al-Baghdadi. We took out people that nobody thought possible. Al-Baghdadi was the biggest terrorist of them all. They couldn't find him. I took him out. Soleimani, even bigger. I took him out. I've done things that no other president's done. None, I mean, fortunately, not too many. They should have never been in the Middle East. The decision to go to the Middle East and get into the Middle East was the single biggest mistake made in the history of our country. That's my opinion.
Every part of that was incredible for a variety of reasons. He's a mess. It's totally contradictory. Like his thoughts on this are totally contradictory. So let's walk through it. From the beginning, he says, listen, Jonathan, we have to get out. We have to get out. We've been there 19 years. We have to get out. And then, to his credit, Jonathan Swan breaks down the timeline. He says, listen, when you got into office, there were 8,000 American soldiers in Afghanistan. You made it 14,000. You did a troop surge. And then now just recently, you brought it back down to about 8,000. And then what does Trump say? If you go back and listen, he says, Jonathan, by the time, we'll largely get out. Largely. It went from we got to get out to we'll largely get out. Weird. Why'd you put that weasel word in there? It went from let's get out to let's largely get out. And then he asks him point blank. He says, well, on election day, how many troops are going to be in there? And Trump says, 4,000 to 5,000. And Jonathan Swan correctly points out, that's about the same number as when you first came into office. You came in with 8,000, you're going to leave with 4,000 or 5,000 there. How can you say you're getting us out? How can you say that? And then Trump, in typical Trump fashion, what does he do? He goes, well, now let me tell you what the fake news doesn't tell you. We did a great job. We did a tremendous job. We took out ISIS. We took out al-Baghdadi. We took out Soleimani. Now, by the way, he brings up Syria. He brings up Iran. Like, we're talking about Afghanistan. And then he pivots to, well, then we also did an amazing job intervening in Syria, intervening in Iran, intervening in Iraq. And by the way, he also lies. Oh, Soleimani's the biggest terrorist. Actually, that guy was literally fighting ISIS on the ground. So you de facto acted as an ISIS ally when you went after Soleimani. It almost sparked World War III, but I digress. But in the midst of making an argument about how, oh my God, we got to get out of the Middle East. We've been there so long. We've been there 19 years. He ends up arguing for intervention. Hold on. if it's wrong to be there, then it's wrong to be there. You can't say it's wrong to be there and, oh my God, aren't the effects of us being there so wonderful? Because then you'd be undermining your original point, and effectively you're saying it makes sense to be there and it's right to be there because look at all these great things I did when I was there. So, and then at the end he goes, well, we should have never went in. So this is the absurd position that the so-called non-interventionists on the right, this is the position that they've boxed themselves into. We should have never went in, but now that we went in, sure, why not? Let's try to take out everybody in sight, and let's also add Syria and Iran to our list of places that we're going to intervene in and bomb in. But we should have never went in, but now that we're in, let's do a hell of a lot more. And then I'll say that maybe we'll get out, but really what I mean is I have 4,000 or 5,000 troops left still in Afghanistan. So we ain't getting out of Afghanistan. We ain't getting out of Iraq. We're not getting out of anywhere in the Middle East. He's adding more countries to the list. He literally just brought up bragging about killing an Iranian commander. You know, bragging about what we did in Syria. So he's not getting us out. He's keeping us in as every now and then he pays lip service to getting us out, while also talking about how great it is that we're in there and what we're doing. It makes no, he's trying to, see, this is classic Trump. He says everything at the same time. So if you're watching that, you could be a neocon and applaud him. Why? Because he's saying, we're going to stay in. I'm going to keep thousands of troops in Afghanistan. Let's talk about what we did in Syria. Let's talk about what I want to do in Iran. Let's talk about what we're still doing in Iraq. If you're a neocon, you could watch that and say, Trump's a hawk. That's amazing. And if you're a sucker who's either a libertarian or on the left or a so-called non-interventionist on the right, you could watch that and go, what do you mean? He said he wants to get out. He said he wants to get out. He said we never should have went in. He said that we're getting out. But guys, the devil is always in the details. You know, Obama used to do this too, right? Obama always used to do this. He would give a speech talking about how we're going to be out. We're getting out of Afghanistan and Iraq. And then what would he do? Yo-yo the troop levels. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Well, we got to do a surge. Wouldn't it be great if we did a surge? Because then we'll definitely win the war, even though there's no definition of victory. Do a troop surge. They do the troop surge. Then they would, after a while, they'd say, we're going to get out of Afghanistan. We're definitely getting out. Then they would lower the troop levels. But the troop level would be like 8,000, like we're talking about now. And the media would go along with every step of the way. Obama says we're getting out of Afghanistan. He would yo-yo the troop levels. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Trump, exact same thing. He gets in there with 8,000 troops. He surges to 14,000. He draws back down to 8,000. And he says, see, I'm getting out. Isn't it wonderful? And when he's pressed on it, how many are going to be? When you get out of office, how many U.S. troops are going to be in Afghanistan? What does he say? 4,000 or 5,000. That's not out. That is not out. You don't believe me? Let's have some Chinese troops occupy Texas with 4,000 or 5,000 people. I think you feel like it's an invasion. I think you'd feel like it's an act of war. Military-industrial complex churns on. And yes, this is very Orwellian. Peace is endless war. That's what this is. Peace is endless war. Great job there by Jonathan Swan. By the way, the rest of the media should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. Why? Because he's been in office now, Trump, for years. I've never heard this question asked before. There's a million questions I want to ask Trump that the media should want to ask Trump. Like the guy who said repeatedly he's against radical Islamic terrorism. I'm against radical Islamic terrorism. He used to bash Saudi Arabia all the time. Now we did a multi-billion-dollar weapons deal with Saudi Arabia. So you said you're against radical Islam. You just funded the largest purveyors of it with weapons to the tune of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. What's that about? Trump cries all the time about, oh my God, the Obama administration spied on my campaign. Illegal. Not okay to just spy. But in 2018, he signed the reauthorization of the Patriot Act, which allows for illegal spying. It's only when it's him that it counts, right? So, but that's the thing is like all these questions are goddamn obvious. These are obvious questions for anybody who's paying attention and cares about the issues. But that's the point, is that the media doesn't care about the issues at all. At all. So credit to Jonathan Swan for finally asking a real question, and now we get clarity from Trump. He thinks we should get out, but also brags about all the things we did while we're in. Total contradiction. complete hypocrite. He doesn't even know what he really believes. And when he says get out, he means bring it down to 4,000 or 5,000 troops. That ain't getting out, dog. That ain't getting out. So now everybody knows. Now we have clarity. Credits to Jonathan Swan. And the rest of the media needs to step their game up because this question should have been asked a long time ago.